Wrist pain is an incredibly common complaint in yoga, so we're going to talk about how to avoid it. The first step is proper hand placement. So when you take your hands to the mat, you want your index fingers, like the number of 11, parallel to each other, facing forward. You want to be plugged in to the index and the thumb, this L that you're making, with your middle ring and pinky fingertips acting as a secondary point of contact, as well as this space right below the pinky. What you want to avoid is putting too much weight in the heels of your hands. That's when you're really going to put your wrist at an angle that doesn't feel good to the wrist, puts too much weight into them. So we find that proper hand placement. And if your wrists are still a little aggravated, maybe not in tabletop, but say a downward facing dog, grab a blanket or towel. It is one of the best, most versatile props you can use. You fold it up, you can place that under the heels of your hands, and this is sort of naturally going to help you plug into the right areas and avoid a very sharp angle that compresses the wrists. So that's one option. You can try that out. How does that feel? Some folks will actually buy a yoga wedge made for this, or gloves to prop up and stabilize the wrist. Those are other options. And then there's also just simply not being on your wrist. This probably works best in, say, downward facing dog, but you could be on your forearms. Now, it's not a down dog, it's a dolphin pose, but the pressure's off your wrists. It's a bit more challenging. You're going to feel it more in your calves and your core. But there's just another option for you. There are plenty of ways to modify, but please try modifying, because wrists are one of the quickest things to bring you off of your mat and not have you come back on. So even if you're focusing on your lower body until you build up that wrist strength, do what you need to keep coming on back to your mat. And don't forget, some wrist rolls, some wrist stretching, properly warming up for your practice is going to help a lot. If you have any more questions about the wrists or modifying your practice, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to answer questions.